Mr. McLean, thank you. Who else is, other than, is Mr. Coleman and, Mr. Coleman and you, the two PDs this morning?
Yes, Your Honor. 1 through 3 will be Mr. Coleman. 4 will be mine. 5 through 14 are Mr. Coleman. 15 through 27 are mine.
15 to 27.
I can repeat that more slowly.
I got it. 1, 2, 3 is Mr. Coleman,
Correct.
and then 4 is yours.
4 is me, and then
Yeah, 5 to 4 is Coleman, and 15 to 27 is you.
correct.
All right. And do either of you have the prepared form for how you want to proceed with the cases?
We have no preferences to the order. We leave it up to the convenience of the deputy.
Oh, what I meant was typically one of the PDs would send us a list, like, on each position, whether it's a plea, what's.
Yeah, we sent out announcements.
Right.
Okay,
We sent that to the clerk and to the prosecutor, and we finally sent it to a deputy early this morning. So
Yeah, I sent it to Miss Grace. I don't know if she's the case manager today or not.
all right, yeah, she is.
I have it, Judge, and I'll forward it to you right now.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. All right. All right, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Lal, and this is the Fulton State Court State All-Purpose Calendar. This is a list of misdemeanor criminal cases in which individuals have already been accused of certain misdemeanor offenses. Their cases have been formally accused by the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County. Bonds have already been set, and today we are going to get a status of the case, including whether the defendant would like to consider a plea recommendation or a plea offer from the prosecutor, whether the defendant would like to plead not guilty and have the case arraigned and scheduled for trial in the future, or any other matters that either counsel may want to address, such as bond modifications. If you are a defendant so charged with a misdemeanor offense, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say during the course of these proceedings, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one of our attorneys from the Public Defender's Office or Conflict Defense List will represent you. Mr. McLean, Deputy Milton, am I addressing your case first? Am I going to courtroom 2?
No, you just send me first, please.
All right, and who do we have?
Position 18 is in front of you, April Mitchell.
All right.
that's a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is April Mitchell, case number 23 CR 001-227C, accused of criminal trespass from March 3rd, 2023. Ms. Mitchell, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is Mr. McLean, and this is going to be a negotiated plea. May I place you under oath? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, good morning.
Good morning, Your Honor.
And what is your recommendation?
The state's recommendation that was agreed upon is 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for time served, 14 days, balance suspended, with a stay away order from 144 Walnut Street and a no further contact with Cecile Hill.
All right, thank you. Mr. McLean, are those the terms to which your client has agreed? And do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Your Honor, and those are the terms.
All right. Ms. Mitchell, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
No, ma'am.
You've not understood anything?
I'm gonna understand it. I'm gonna need to call the binding office to get
You
out.
need to answer my question, and then
Yes,
after that,
ma'am.
you can tell me what you want, okay?
Yes, all right. Okay. Mhm.
Have you understood what has been going
Yes,
on so far?
ma'am. I say yes, yeah, I do. Yeah.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes. I'm
Have
all
you-
right.
That's good. That's good. Miss Mitchell, if you decide to plead guilty to criminal trespass today, you will not have a trial in the future. You will not go back to a courtroom, face your accuser, have the help of an attorney to examine witnesses, to challenge the prosecution, and to have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
I'm all right. I understand, lady.
How do you
I don't want to
plead?
fight with it.
How do you plead?
I plead not guilty. I agree not to go there. I'm not gonna go there. I know what to do. Thank you.
All right, you're saying the wrong thing. So I'm going to ask you again, and I want you to think about what you just said. Do you
Right.
understand?
Ask me the question where I can understand it, ma'am.
Okay. How do you plead to one charge of criminal trespass?
Not guilty. I
or
want,
not- Listen, guilty or not guilty?
no, I said not guilty.
You're pleading not guilty.
Yes, I'm right.
All right. So you want a trial?
That's where we at now, ma'am. Thank you.
Ms. McLean, do you want a chance to talk to her?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. I'm going to move on to courtroom 2, and Mr. McLean will come back and speak to Ms. Mitchell.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mitchell. Deputy Milton, unfortunately, we don't have a plea at the present time.
Can we do position 4? Just in
Position
case-
4,
Just in case I have to leave,
okay, go to position 4.
have a seat there for me, Ms. Mitchell. Mitchell, have a seat there. Can we
This is
recess?
Janaya Dennis, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. Good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Ms. Dennis, your case number is 23 CR 001-242J. You're accused of willful obstruction of an officer, possession and use of drug-related objects, pedestrian in roadway, public drunk. All right, that's the 4 charges against you from March 2nd, 2023. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean.
Good morning, Mr. McLean.
Good
I
morning.
love you. Okay.
Great to see you.
All right. Miss, this is going to be a negotiated plea hearing. So is that correct, Mr. McLean? Or did I read the list wrong?
That is correct.
All right. So Miss Dennis, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Miss Dennis, we are going to have a plea hearing. And if you agree with everything that you and your attorney have discussed, we are considering a guilty plea in this case. If you don't want to have a trial, then you'll be pleading not guilty. Do you understand?
I'm guilty.
All right, listen very carefully. Miss Dillingham or
It's
Ms.
my
Duncan?
concern.
Yeah, good morning, Ms. Duncan. Yes. What is the plea offer?
The state's offer that was extended and agreed upon for each count is 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for time served, 14 days with the balance suspended, and a stay away from 478 Edgewood Avenue, the general area, because this incident did occur in the middle of the road near that particular area.
Okay, thank
And
you.
it's to run concurrent for each count.
All right. And Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
She does accept the terms and we stipulate to the 3 elements, Your Honor.
Miss Dennis, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
Ma'am.
Are you satisfied with Mr. McLean?
Yes, ma'am. I love you, Mr. McLean.
It's always
And-
great to see you, Miss Dennis.
Okay.
And have you understood everything that's been going on in your case?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to plead guilty to these charges, your sentence will be time served. You'll be released within 24 hours, but you have to stay away from the
I know. All praise and due respect to
Don't interrupt, please. Listen to the judge.
You have to stay away from 478 Edgewood Avenue, and you can't be standing in the middle of the road. Do you agree to these terms?
I understand.
Okay, now understand this also. If you plead guilty, you have to give up your right to go back to court, to have a trial, to face a judge or a jury, to challenge the evidence brought against you, to confront your accuser, and to have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to the 4
Guilty.
charges I have indicated. How do you plead?
Guilty,
All right.
Guilty.
Thank you, Ms. Dennis. Your sentence is going to be concurrent. It's 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days. If you have no other cases, your jail time is concluded. The balance is suspended. Like I said, stay away from 478 Edgewood Avenue in Northeast Atlanta. Thank you. You're free to go.
Position number.
Can we get back to Ms. Dennis? Sit down, sit down, sit down. Sit down. We're going to resume the case with Ms. Mitchell. That was position number 18. And don't interrupt me until I ask you a question. Do you understand?
Yes.
Ms. Mitchell, we're going to resume the case with 23 CR 001227C. Your attorney has already stipulated to the factual basis, venue, and ID. Your attorney has already spoken to you. And I just need to.
Well, I need the
I
bond company to
need-
get out of here.
All right, then we are not going to address your case if you interrupt me again. I'm going to reset it for one more week if you interrupt me again. Unmute. Ms. Mitchell, I'm going to ask you again. If you decide to plead guilty to this charge, you would have to give up certain rights, including your right to a trial, to go back and confront your accuser and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
What do that mean, lady? Can you explain that? Can you explain?
Sure,
it to
I
me?
will explain it. I will explain it, but you need to make sure you speak nicely. Otherwise, I'm going to reset the case. Now sit up straight and look at the camera. Thank you. If you plead guilty today, there will be no trial. Your case is closed. You will not go back in front of a judge or a jury, and the prosecution doesn't have to do anything to prove the case against you. Are you willing to give up these rights?
What you want to say? I was guilty?
All right. Your attorney is going to talk to you. Thank you. Ms. Mitchell, go have a seat. Go have a
I
seat.
still got to call the bond off.
Mute the screen and then have a, all right. Mr. McLean, who do you have seated next to you?
Position number 8. This is
This
Mr.
is
Graham.
Mr. Coleman's case. It's number 8.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. McLean, why don't you call Union City and have a chat with Ms. Mitchell?
If they could just call what is that, 2392?
I think she's left the room,
Right.
so put in the chat to ACDC and see if they will call you at the jail. All right, this is position number 8. There we go. All right, this is going to be a plea. This is Alan Graham, case number 23 CR 001202J. Mr. Graham is accused of simple assault domestic violence from March 2nd, 2023. Mr. Graham, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Coleman. This is going to be a negotiated plea. Would that be correct, Mr. Coleman?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Graham, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan, yes, good morning. And what is the recommendation for Mr. Graham?
The state's offer that was extended and accepted in this case is 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days with the balance probated, a family violence intervention program, no further contact with Joshua Graham, and a stay away from 2000 Monroe Place Northeast.
All right. Mr. Coleman, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We do, Your Honor. We would ask that the probation would go non-reporting once Mr. Graham has completed the VIP classes. We would also request that he be allowed to report to probation via phone or mail as he's relocating to North Carolina.
He's located in North Carolina.
He's moving back to North Carolina.
this is a domestic violence case, so let me see. Ms. Duncan, how does the state feel about non-reporting?
The victim in this case was, I believe, his uncle or
Nephew.
nephew. I'm sorry, that was his nephew. They were living together. So it is an intimate partner violence. And so Mr. Walker may want to chime in, but I don't believe we have any objection, if I'm correct, Mr. Walker. Is that right?
Once he finishes his classes,
think-
that would be fine.
Repeat, Mr. Walker?
Once he finishes his classes,
Non-reporting, yes.
correct.
Okay. So, yeah, let me just clarify. Yes, they are living together. It's not intimate partner. It's a family violence situation.
Yes.
And just the other question I had was reporting. So if he goes back to North Carolina, they're either asking me to do telephonic reporting or they affiliate with a probation office in his town in North Carolina where he does report.
Judge,
Yes.
this is Ms. Thomas. How you doing this morning?
Hi, good morning. Correct me if
Good
I'm
morning.
wrong.
We do mail-in reporting. So if he has a mailing address, we can mail him. We don't transfer unless the judge say transfer cases, but other than that, we do mail-in reporting.
Can you do
Okay.
a transfer in this case?
If you put it in the notes, yes, ma'am. If it's on disposition, yes, ma'am.
All right. Does he need to report the first time?
If you like, it's up to you.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Coleman, I'm going to do a transfer of probation to his town. He will need to report to probation in Fulton County the first time and give them all the necessary information in order to transfer the case, the probation matter to his hometown so that he will be doing in-person reporting in North Carolina. And then after he's done with the domestic violence intervention program classes, his probation will be non-reporting. At all times, he's to not have any contact with Joshua Graham and to stay away from the Monroe place. And I will, yeah, so is that acceptable to your client?
It's acceptable.
All right. Mr. Graham, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far, especially when it regards the transfer of your probation to your hometown?
That part I don't really understand. I guess my attorney can
Well,
explain.
you're gonna report to probation in person the first time. and
Here in
then-
Fulton County, and
Exactly,
then I
yeah.
can go to North Carolina.
Right.
Yes, I understand that, Judge.
Yeah, and in North Carolina, the Fulton County Probation will affiliate with a probation office in your hometown, and you'll be reporting once a month to that probation office.
Okay, now as far as the transfer.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay.
All right, and then, all right, so you've understood, have we resolved your question on that issue?
Yes, ma'am. I report to Fulton County first time on my.
Correct. Well, I'll tell you the date.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
I am.
And are you entering this plea willingly, knowingly, and voluntarily?
I am.
If you decide to enter this plea today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to go back to court, to have a trial before a judge or a jury, to be able to confront your accuser, have the assistance of counsel to challenge the state's evidence against you, to examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple assault, family violence?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you'll be released within 24 hours. Today is Thursday. You must report to probation office next Wednesday. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Before 3 p.m. The probation office is located at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta.
Do we have a piece of paper to write that down?
All right. Now, once you report to that Fulton County Probation Office the first time next Wednesday,
Yes, ma'am.
they will create a file and get all the information from you. And then they will transfer the probation case to the hometown that you designate where you plan to live.
Yes, ma'am.
Then after that, from your second visit onwards, you must report to that office in person.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, ma'am.
If there are any problems with reporting to the office in your hometown, please make sure you have the phone number for your Fulton County Probation Officer so that you can contact them immediately and make sure the transfer is done smoothly.
So you say I need the phone number for the
They will
probation
give that to you
Okay,
when,
when you report.
when I report, okay.
that's right, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, while you are reporting to probation, you will enroll and complete a 24-week domestic violence intervention program, set classes.
6 months.
Yes.
6 months, yes. They have those classes as well in North Carolina. So you can work with the probation office in your hometown to find out which are the qualified schools that offer that program.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
You must enroll in that program within 60 days of being released. No, well, since you're transferring, I'll give you 90 days of being released.
Thank you so much.
90 days, so that's 3 months, okay? After you're done with the classes, your probation will be non-reporting, which means that you don't have to report anymore, but you're still required to comply with the other conditions, which are to stay away from 2000 Monroe Place and have no contact with Joshua Graham.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
But what if he comes around me? So never mind.
Well, I heard that question, so let me be very emphatic. The order that requires you to stay 200 yards away from him and have no communication with him in whatever manner applies to you.
Yes, ma'am.
So if he's in the room, if he's in the house, if he's in the same room with you, you have to leave. So if you're in the grocery store or on a sidewalk or in a restaurant and he happens to walk in, you have to leave. You are in your own house and he comes along, you just make sure you don't open the door to him and you call the police.
Yes, ma'am.
All right?
Fair enough.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Graham. Best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Position 23 and 24.
Yeah.
Water.
All right. These are two cases with regards to Mr. Tony Woodard. First one is 23 CR 003098F, in which he was accused of theft by shoplifting from January 22nd, 2021. The second case is 23 FTA 000201, and this was a case created from a bench warrant as a result of failure to appear on February 1st, 2023. This is going to be a negotiated plea hearing for position 23, and if the plea moves forward, the bench warrant case is going to be null prost. Mr. Woodard has been advised of his right to remain silent, and his attorney is Mr. McLean. Mr. McLean, is your client ready to proceed?
He is.
All right. And Mr. Woodard, may I place you under oath, please? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, what's the plea offer for position 23?
Yes, Your Honor. The offer in this case is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days, an anti-theft course, and balance probated until the course is completed. Also, a stay away order from the Home Depot at 650 Ponce de Leon Avenue Northeast in Atlanta, Georgia.
Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, Your Honor, and we do so stipulate.
Mr. Woodard, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And has anyone forced you or induced you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to enter guilty plea today, you understand that if you collect 3 or more guilty pleas on your record, any subsequent arrest for shoplifting could be a felony charge?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you been advised that entering such a plea, you would be required to give up your constitutional right to have a trial, to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the state's evidence, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of theft by shoplifting?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. The balance will be probated for you to complete one anti-theft class. And you're also to stay away from the Home Depot store at 650 Ponce de Leon Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. Just as a note, typically Home Depot communicates with all their stores. So if you go to any Home Depot store and they recognize you and they ask you to leave, you'll be required to do so. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Woodard, once you've completed the class, is there any objection to non-reporting?
No, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Woodard. What about Ms. Dillingham?
No
How do you
objection
feel about
from the
that?
state, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Woodard, if you complete the anti-theft class, then your probation will be non-reporting. That completes your sentence. Thank you. Oh, I did ask him, how does he plead to theft by shoplifting, didn't he?
Yes, Your Honor, he did.
Oh, all right, thank you.
You did and he did, right?
All right. Oh, I wanted to mention that his second bench warrant case is null pros. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good to meet you. Again.
Your Honor?
Deputy Milton, yes.
Okay, this young lady, Shanta Robinson, is on the competency calendar. If you don't mind, please, can we go to that one? Because that's the only one I have, and Mr. Howard is ready.
Mr. Ian Walker, are you present? What position did you say?
Good morning, Judge.
This is Robinson, Shanta Robinson. Okay,
Yes, she's position 16 on the competency calendar, Judge. However, it's going to be a regular plea.
okay. Is this going to be Mr. Walker's case?
I spoke with him about it, Judge.
I just want to be sure the ASG is present as well. Ms. Dillingham, Ms. Duncan, can either one of you take the plea in this case?
I can, Your Honor. I believe it's a time served offer
All right,
with a stay away order from the address.
all right. Miss Shanta Lakita Robinson, their case number is 23 CR 000057J. Miss Shanta Robinson, you've been accused of criminal trespass from January 4th, 2023. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you today is Mr. Derek Howard. Do you see Mr. Howard on the screen? He's waving at you. You need to say yes or no if you can see him.
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent, thank you. This is going to be a negotiated plea hearing, so please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, what is the offer for Ms. Robinson?
Yes, Your Honor. The offer in this case is time served with the stay away order from the address of the incident, if Mr. Howard doesn't mind providing the address.
Sure. Just give me a second to pull that up. It is. Judge, that stay away address is going to be.
Don't worry about it, I'll get it.
It'll be 12 months served, 72 days, Judge, credit for time served, 72 days. And balance suspended with a stay away from, and I'll have that.
We can only go as fast as Odyssey will pop in, right?
Right.
I have Shell gas station at 486.
Yes,
Okay.
that would be it.
Okay, well, I just got a new ISP, so that's what. All right, Miss Robinson, have you, sorry, Mr. Howard, do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue and ID?
We do, Judge.
All right, Miss Robinson, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No,
And,
I've been getting medication.
uh-huh, and,
My
are you-
schizophrenia.
all right, are you still able to understand what's going on?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney, Mr. Howard?
Yes,
Has anyone forced you or induced you to take a guilty plea today?
no,
And has Mr. Howard explained that if you decide to plead guilty, that this will close your case out, but that you cannot go back to court, you cannot have a trial, you won't be able to confront your accuser, and the prosecution won't have to do anything to carry its burden of proof or beyond a reasonable doubt in this case?
yes,
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass?
guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 72 days, credit for time served 72 days. You have no more jail time and your case is closed. You cannot, listen, you cannot return to the Shell gas station at 486 Ponce de Leon Avenue in Atlanta. Do you understand?
Yes,
If you go back to the gas station, to the sidewalk, to the parking lot, or anywhere where you are, if you go especially into the store, they will call the cops and you'll be arrested again.
all right.
So please don't go back there. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Case closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm getting time served.
You did. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 27, Wyatt.
This is position 26 and 27. This is Mr. Xavier Deshawn Wyatt. This is case 22 CR 003149D, in which Mr. Wyatt was accused of public drunk and criminal trespass from May 20th, 2022. The second case is 23 FTA 000186, which was a bench warrant issued for Mr. Wyatt as a result of failure to appear on October 7th, 2022. This is going to be a negotiated plea hearing in which Mr. Wyatt, if the plea moves forward and is completed, then position 27 will be null prost. Mr. Wyatt, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. McLean. Would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, what's the plea offer for position 26?
Yes, Your Honor. The state's offer is 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served 5 days, balance suspended with a stay away order from the MARTA station at 30 Alabama Street. And then null prosing the position 27 FTA.
Okay, and do you know of any outstanding suspensions by MARTA at the present time?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And how long would you like the stay away to be, since it's the that particular station is the intersection of all our major rail lines? I mean, the main MARTA rail lines.
We would ask for the remainder of the 12 months.
Which means 0 because it's balance suspended.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Mr. McLean. I'm going to modify that to stay away from MARTA in accordance with any active suspension. Do you have any problem with that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. With that modification, Mr. Wyatt, Mr. McLean, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does, and we do so stipulate.
Mr. Wyatt, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood everything that's been going on so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, they're not.
If you decide to plead guilty, you will have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You will not have the assistance of counsel to let you challenge the state's evidence, confront your accuser, examine witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of public drunk and criminal trespass?
Yes.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 10 days, credit for time served 5 days. The balance of the time will be suspended. You are to stay away, listen very carefully, you are to stay away from all MARTA property if there are any active MARTA suspensions against you.
Yes, ma'am.
So I would recommend that you check with MARTA headquarters at Lindbergh Road. Do you know where that is?
Yes, ma'am.
That's where their main office is. Go in there, tell them your name and your date of birth, and see if there's any active suspension against you. If there isn't, then you can use MARTA legally.
All right.
You cannot be on any MARTA property if you have consumed any alcohol.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Excellent. Thank you.
Position 3, Davis.
This is position 3, State versus John Davis, 23 CR 001234D. Mr. Davis, your case is one in which you were accused of loitering and prowling, criminal trespass, and theft by taking. And this is from March 3rd, 2023. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Darrell Coleman. May I place you under oath?
Yes.
The other right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillon, or Ms. Duncan, excuse me, Ms. Duncan, yes, what is the plea offer for these 3 charges?
The state's offer for these 3 counts is 12 months to serve, 28 days, credit for time served, 14 days with the balance suspended, and a stay away from America's Mart Atlanta, located at 250 Ted Turner Drive Northwest in Atlanta. No further contact with Leslie Cortez or any other employee, and for that 3rd count, theft by taking an anti-theft class. And these counts are to run concurrent.
All right. Balance suspended.
Now,
balance
last one is
probated.
probated.
Okay, good. All right. And Mr. Coleman, does your client accept these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
We will stipulate, Your Honor. I'm sorry, I did not notice that they wanted to take a theft class.
Oh, did you need to speak to your client?
Just very briefly.
Okay. Just make sure the mic is on mute. Thank you.
Your Honor?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we can go forward.
All right, thank you. And so with that, then your client is accepted to the plea recommendation as indicated by Ms. Duncan.
Yes.
And you've stipulated to the factual basis, venue, and ID. So, Mr. Davis, may I ask you if you've consumed any medication or alcohol?
No.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes.
And is anyone forcing you or inducing you to take this plea today?
No.
And Mr. Davis, if you decide to plead guilty to these charges, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial, to go back to court, to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, examine witnesses both on direct and cross, and also have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes.
Are you entering this plea freely, willingly, and knowingly?
Yes.
How do you plead? To loitering and prowling, criminal trespass, and theft by taking?
Yes.
For the loitering and prowling and criminal trespass, your sentence is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days. You don't have additional jail time. Your balance is suspended, and you must stay away from the big building that is referred to as America's Mart, located at 250 Ted Turner Drive in Northwest Atlanta. For the theft by taking, same 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, but you'll be placed on probation. You will report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street. Once you report to probation, they will appoint you a probation officer to monitor that you complete one anti-theft class. Once you have completed the class, I will terminate your probation. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
All right. So don't forget to report to probation next week. Otherwise, you're back in trouble with us.
And that was next Wednesday,
Next Thursday.
next Thursday.
And Your Honor, I just want to make it clear for the record that all of those include no further contact.
Yes. Oh, I do beg your pardon. I forgot that part. Yes. Not in addition to staying away from America Smart, he's also to stay away from Leslie Cortez, who apparently is an employee at America Smart. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right. And he's to have no, since I don't have any other identifiable victim, I cannot do any other.
Understood.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Davis, what's your phone number?
Is Mr. McLean available by any chance in courtroom 2?
Yeah.
There he's wheeling by. Okay. Mr. McLean, have you had a chance to speak to your client, Miss Mitchell?
No one has yet called, Your Honor. If they can, if they're able to call extension 22392, I'll pick up the phone.
All right, well, just report.
Okay. I hopefully Deputy Milton would have gotten that. Thank you.
Right, we did put that in a chat to everyone, just saying, please have this location, call this number.
All right.
Position,
And who do we have now?
positions 5 and 6.
Is this 132?
132, yes.
This is Gregory Emerson, position 5 and 6. The first case is 22 CR 003721D. Mr. Gregory Emerson, you've been accused of battery, domestic violence, and cruelty in the 3rd degree from May 4th, 2021. The second case is 23 FTA 000198, a bench warrant that was issued for a non-appearance on November 4th, 2022. And with respect to both cases, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Coleman. This is going to be a negotiated plea, am I correct?
No, Your Honor, this is reset jail jury.
5 and 6.
Yep.
Yeah, okay, sorry, I read the wrong line, sorry. All right, yeah, this is going to be an arraignment. So with regards to, before I arraign the cases, Ms. Duncan, are we still proceeding with the failure to appear? Or can I close that out since he's already been arrested?
Well, our position was to send it back to Judge Adeline if he did not take the plea at this time, since that's who issued the failure to appear.
All right. Let me ask the prosecution again, since this.
Good morning, Your Honor. We're proceeding because more than likely he's being held on the failure to appear. So he'll be released. So to answer your question, yes, we are.
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
All right, so Mr. Emerson, we're going to arraign both cases then. And with regards to the case 22 CR 003721D and 23 FTA 000198. With respect to both cases, Mr. Coleman, has your client waived a reading of the accusations?
Yeah, we will waive reading. He would enter plea of not guilty at this time.
All right, so in entering such a plea, Mr. Emerson, you do understand that you are charged with 2 misdemeanor offenses as well as a failure to appear offense. And with regards to all these cases, you are legally presumed innocent until the case goes to trial, where the prosecution would then have the complete burden to prove these charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the prosecution prevails, they can overcome your legal presumption of innocence, and a trier of fact, that is a judge or a jury, could find you guilty of one or more of these offenses. With regards to the offenses, you could be sentenced to up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead? I'll accept your not guilty plea and further notice these cases for jail jury. I just want to make sure that the prosecution understands that when the bench warrant was issued, that suspended his bond in the position number 5. So if y'all need to enter the court to enter a specific order saying that the bond has been suspended as a result of the bench warrant being executed. I'm just saying that's how we normally used to do it, so that both cases then get further notice for jail jury, and then the FTA case is closed out pursuant to the bench warrant being executed.
If the court is willing to do that before we dismiss the FTA, I'm fine with that, but I don't want to dismiss the FTA and then he's released on
Well,
the other case because he's not booked in.
Yeah, so when a bench warrant is issued, then typically there is a bond already issued for the bench warrant. Right? But
Right, but I don't think he's booked in on the other case, so.
right. So all I'm saying is that if you're going to if I'm going to further notice this for
Okay.
jail jury, you're also bringing the FTA case for a jury trial. So it's fine with me either way.
Okay,
It's fine with me either way. So I can either issue an order, the bond in the case in which he's charged, the position 5, it would be modified or suspend it will be in forfeiture because of the FTA. But a specific order needs to be put in place before it gets further notice. I'm just trying to streamline it so that we're only sending one case instead of 2 cases for trial.
that's fine, and I can consent to that if that's submitted or filled out before we submit the null prize.
Okay, Mr. Coleman, do you have any objection to that?
No objection.
All right, so Ms. Duncan, can you submit a proposed order in position number 5? Indicating that he has no bond, that is in bond forfeiture pursuant to the FTA, and that would then close out the FTA case. And just as a matter of streamlining, I think that's a better exercise rather than, bringing multiple cases up for jail jury.
I understand, I just want to make sure that's in order before we dismiss the FTA, because if he's not booked in on the other charge, the jail will release him.
Understood.
He is in fact booked in on the FTA and I believe a possible felony charge if he hasn't made bond on that.
Right. So just let you know, I'm going to leave it as is until I
Okay.
see a form order, then we can do it that way. But
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next case, please.
Position 15, Kemp.
15. Okay. Mr. McLean, is your client's first name beginning with a T or a J? I just want to make sure it's not a typo.
It's kind of like how the British do aluminium. He will pronounce for us his first name, but it is spelled correctly.
Okay, thank you. This is position 15, is Jonathanan, is that correct?
It's Tanathian, ma'am.
Tanathian, thank you for correcting me, I appreciate it. Mr. Tanathian Kemp, case number 23 CR 001-229Y. Mr. Kemp is accused of simple battery from March 3rd, 2023. Mr. Tanathian, excuse me, now I'm stuck with your first name now. Okay, Mr. Kemp. Mr. Kemp, you have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. And Mr. McLean, how are we proceeding, please?
This is a negotiated plea, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Kemp, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm that testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, how is the state proceeding on this?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation and offer that was agreed to is 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days, balance probated until the 8-week anger management course is completed. And no further contact from Kyrenia, Kyrenia Jackson, and a stay away order from 1133 Arlington Avenue Southwest.
Mr. McLean, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does agree, and we do so stipulate.
Mr. Kemp, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And has anyone forced you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
If you decide to enter a guilty plea to this charge, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial. You will not be able to go back to court, challenge your evidence brought against you, challenge the witnesses brought against you, confront your accuser, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of simple battery?
Guilty.
Your sentence is going to be 12 months to serve 28 days, credit for time served 14 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, then you'll be released within 24 hours. You must report to probation next Thursday before 3 p.m. at 132 Mitchell Street in downtown Atlanta. While on probation, you will complete 8 weeks of anger management classes. You must begin the classes within 60 days of being released. While you're on probation, you're also to have no contact with Kyrenia Jackson and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner, and stay 200 yards away from her. You're also to stay away from 1133 Arlington Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. Once you've completed the anger management classes, your probation will be non-reporting.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, I got down the start within 60 days, the class, but that was report within how many days?
He has to report next Thursday.
Thank you.
First report is next Thursday before 3 p.m.
Got it.
Five North, who do we have, please?
Position 16, Mr. McPherson.
All right.
Okay, is that on Zoom?
All right. Mr. McLean, that will be your client as well. Just let me know when you're ready to proceed.
We're ready, Your Honor. He's on 5 North on Zoom, so I will sit here.
All right, thank you. And I'm so sorry, I have to keep referring to this 16, and we are doing a negotiated plea. Okay. This is Shaquan McPherson, located at 5 North. His case number is 22 CR 002657E. Mr. McPherson was accused of obstruction of a law enforcement officer from April 30th, 2022. Mr. McPherson, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of the case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. McLean. He is in courtroom 2 on your screen. Do you see him?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Sir, may I place you under oath for purposes of this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, what's the plea recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, this is a time served offer of 12 months to serve 128 days, credit for time served 64 days with the balance suspended.
Mr. McLean, does your client agree to these terms, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
He does agree to those terms, and we do so stipulate.
All right. Mr. McPherson, have you consumed any medication or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
Has it been explained to you that in taking this plea, you give up your right to go back to court and have a trial in front of a judge or a jury to confront your accuser, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charge against you beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of willful obstruction of an officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 128 days, credit for time served, 64 days. The balance is suspended, which essentially is a time served sentence. That concludes your case. Thank you.
Thank you.
Position number 25, Worthy.
25. Ms. Coleman, is this a plea as well? I'm sorry.
No, Your Honor,
No.
it's a not guilty. We'd like to waive the formal reading of the accusation and be arraigned.
All right.
No, I'm not trying to rearrange. Oh, he's changed his mind. Hold on just a second. If I might mute myself and consult for just a second,
Yes, sir.
because we discussed all possibilities. This won't be complicated.
Are we ready, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. Now that we're unmuted, I have explained to him what the court doesn't have to do or whatnot on an unnegotiated plea. It is an offer from the state, had it been a negotiated plea of a certain type, and he wishes to make it unnegotiated to ask for less jail time down to 0.
All right, so this is going to be a non-negotiated plea?
Right, he understands the risk of a non-negotiated plea. The court might not grant what he wants, but we hope that the court does.
All right, worth a shot. Let's go then. All right, so for purposes of this case right now, in lieu of entering a not guilty plea, Mr. Worthy would like the opportunity to enter a non-negotiated guilty plea to the charge of stalking and loitering or prowling in exchange for a non-negotiated recommendation. So this is case 23 CR 001197E. Ms. Dillingham, do you have the state's recommendation ready?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation was in light of, yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Dillingham, I'm so sorry. I just want to know it's ready. I need to advise Mr. Worthy of certain other things. Just 1 second, please. Thank you. Mr. Worthy, this is going to be a non-negotiated plea hearing, which means, and I'm sure your attorney has explained that to you, is that the prosecution is going to give me one recommendation, and they're going to articulate or tell me what is the factual basis of the charges as they brought them against you, all right? And the reason why they're asking for that particular sentence, which might include also going over your criminal record history. Then your attorney, Mr. McLean, is going to argue for an alternative recommendation. I will consider both options, but keep in mind that I also have the option of disregarding or denying both recommendations and having the case scheduled for trial. Do you understand?
But it's regarding mostly my previous record.
I'm just asking you whether you understand this non-negotiated plea process.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Dillingham, I apologize for the interruption, but if you could tell me the state's recommendation, please.
Of course, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state was recommending 12 months to serve 180 days, credit for time served 16 days. The reason for this is because the facts are quite alarming. This incident occurred February 23rd of 2023, where officers responded to a Milton Package liquor store located at 13093-1010 Highway. There, they learned from the victim, in this case, Veronica Webb, that the defendant had followed her from a dollar store in that area to outside of the dollar store into the parking lot, where he then continued following her into the Milton package store. She was alarmed and fearing for her life as she had seen this defendant. She recognized him. She looked at him, he nodded at her, then she called the police. She notified the police that this defendant, she had taken pictures and videos of the same defendant who had been stalking her outside of her apartment, which is located Camden Apartments, Deerfield Parkway, Milton, Georgia. So not only was this defendant following her around the dollar store, through the parking lot, Milton package store, but he had also previously followed her at her place of living. The officers confirmed this from the video that she had of him at her apartments, and also confirmed with the surveillance video of both the Dollar Tree store and the Milton package liquor store. So for those reasons, Your Honor, we do have serious concerns for Ms. Webb's safety, as this defendant had continuously stalked her. We are unaware of his intentions, and she is in fear for her life. So we are not budging on the 180 days recommendations. In addition to the 180 days, we recommended 40 hours community service, a stay away order from the Milton package, as well as a stay away order from Camden Apartments in Deerfield Parkway. And Your Honor, Ms. Webb is on the Zoom today. So we would ask to sound for her at an appropriate time.
Okay, I'll sound for an appropriate time, but presently, do you have any prior convictions for trespass or loitering or prowling, similar charges as what we've got today?
If you give me one moment, Your Honor, my Odyssey was having a few.
I see that he had a foreign hold in I don't know which jurisdiction.
I have a pending case sheet. Let's keep it quiet. Second time I've done it. Okay.
I beg the court's indulgence. I do have previous arrests for simple battery, family violence, simple battery, public indecency, numerous failures to appear. Another reason that we wanted the jail time. A criminal trespass in 2015.
I've got an open case
battery
from
in 2017.
I've got an open case from December 27, 2022.
I am looking for that.
I have a few cases, Your Honor. I see 22 CR 004919C. That's an open criminal trespass. I see 21 CR 005163E. That case is closed. It looks like it was a guilty plea in 2021. I see criminal trespass, loitering and prowling. That's the one you mentioned, 122722.
And what's that case number? That one. What's that case number?
The one at the conviction or the open one?
No, the 2022 December.
That case number is 22 CR 008522E.
Okay.
And that is from 12/26 of last year.
At the La Quinta Inn in I don't remember, was it Milton or Alpharetta? I can't remember.
Let me pull up the incident report. This box. It is Alpharetta.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ms. Dillingham. Mr. McLean, what is your client requesting?
Your Honor, the client is suggesting to the court that it give him a sentence that could even increase the community service hours or other burdens, but he would like to reduce the amount of extra jail days to 0 or as low a number as possible. That's essentially it. I note from looking at Odyssey that he is a person who is employed. I I'm not putting down any other client I've ever had, but I mean, not all my clients list employment. But in his odyssey, I've noticed he's worked at the Cheesecake Factory in the past. He's worked at a hardware store. He's an employable, industrious person, and he promises to abide by any court order the court gives.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Veronica Webb, my name is Judge Law. You're the alleged victim in this particular case involving stalking offense. You have a right to you have a right to say anything you'd like to say about this case, but I would need your video on and you placed under oath. Of course, you also have the right to not contribute to anything in this hearing, so it's really up to you. I do see a big V on the Zoom. If you'd like to unmute and start your video if you want to say anything. Otherwise, I'll respect your right to remain silent. All right, Ms. Dillingham, it appears that Ms. Webb doesn't want to contribute, so I'm going to resume with this plea hearing. Mr. Worthy, all right, I do understand that perhaps community service may provide a better option in your particular situation. However, what is of great concern is that your recent cases, which are still open and which are very similar in terms of the alleged offenses, which are criminal trespass, loitering and prowling, and so forth. At this point, these are, as I said, charges that are brought against you, and as your attorney will also very competently argue that these are not cases in which you've been convicted. You are legally presumed innocent. However, for purposes of considering this plea recommendation, whether the sentence recommended by the state is fair and reasonable in light of your criminal record history, in light of your open cases, in light of the nature of the charges at the present time, I am finding it very difficult to consider modifying the recommendation that the state has provided. I think it is fair and reasonable. And so in the present circumstances, I am going with the state's recommendation of 12 months to serve 180 days, credit for time served 16 days, which means you have
74 extra.
74 more days, just over 2 months, about 2.5 more months to serve at the Fulton County Jail. After you're released, you'll be placed on probation. You will be required to no contact with Veronica Webb, which means you have to stay 200 yards away from her and not have any communication whatsoever with her. You're to complete 40 hours of voluntary community service and stay away. Mr. McLean, does your client have any connections to Milton, the city of Milton?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Right. I'm going to require him to stay away from the entire city of Milton, Georgia. Since his other open cases do appear to stem from that area. All right, so
Your Honor, I just want to make sure they included a stay away from the victim at all times.
I did include that. No further
Thank you.
contact. So at this juncture, Mr. Worthy, given the circumstances, how would you like to move forward?
Would you like to represent yourself? Or would
Mute your screen, Mr. McLean. Mute your screen.
you...
Hang on. Oh, thank you. Okay. For North, who do we have?
Position 1 and 2 on the add-on calendar, Mr. Keys. Stephen
Mr. Keys.
The
Okay.
add-on competency counter, Judge.
Oh, okay. While courtroom 2 is talking, I'm going to take 4 North. And this is on add-on on the CC calendar.
Yeah, and I think Mr. Howard, this was a last minute add-on, Judge, from my counter from Tuesday, and his parents are supposed to be on the line, but it's supposed to start at 11 o'clock. This is 11 o'clock.
Correct. And we normally would do this in a breakout session.
Yeah. 4 North. Let me see. Mr. Derek Howard. Mr. Derek Howard. All right, for North, I won't be able to address Mr. Keys at the present time. His attorney is not present, and apparently we need his parents also to give them an opportunity to appear. His case is to start at 11 a.m. Phone deputy at 4 North? I can't see who it is.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Okay, I see you now. Okay, good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Yeah, I won't be able to address Mr. Keys until his parents and his defense attorney are present.
Okay,
He's scheduled for 11 a.m.
all right, I'll be
All
back.
right. Thank you, sir. Thank you. All right. Courtroom 2.
Position 2.
All right. And Mr. Coleman, Mr. McLean, what is Mr. Worthy decided to do?
Your Honor, he understands the court sentence.
And is he wanting to have the case arraigned or move forward with the state recommendation?
No, he's accepting the court sentence.
Okay, after I've done with position 2, let's get Mr. Worthy in back to resume his plea hearing, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. All right, this is position number 2. Mr. Coleman, remind me how we proceeding?
John, this is gonna be reset jail jury. This is just gonna be an arraignment.
Okay, this is Artis Caesar, right?
Yes.
This is 23 CR 001199E, State versus Artis Caesar, accused of 2 counts of battery from January 8th, 2023. Mr. Caesar, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Daryl Coleman. Mr. Coleman, do you waive a reading of the accusations?
We will so waive reading.
All right. Mr. Caesar, you're accused of these 2 misdemeanor offenses. You are legally presumed innocent of these charges. And upon your entry of a not guilty plea, this case will be further noticed for a jury trial calendar or a jury trial. And during the course of that trial, you will have the assistance of counsel, but the state, the prosecution, has the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the state prevails and you are convicted of 1 or more of these charges, you could be sentenced to up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine for each convicted offense. Given this information, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
Your case has been arraigned and is going to be further notice for jail jury. Anything else, Mr. Coleman?
No, that's it, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Next case is Mr. Worthy again.
Okay, thank you, sir.
We're going to resume the hearing with 23 CR 001197E, State versus Justin Worthy. This was a non-negotiated plea hearing, and Mr. Worthy was given the court's decision with regards to accepting the state's recommendation for in the event that Mr. Worthy pleads guilty to stalking and loitering or prowling. Mr. McLean, are we still ready to resume?
I believe we are. Yes.
Yeah, was my bond still the same?
There is no bond when a person has a sentence. Bond is not a concept that applies at all. It doesn't exist.
Bond him to trial, I will still be able to.
If you take it to trial, you will be in front of a jury of 6 people, and they will decide whether you're guilty or not of any charge.
I'd rather take it to trial.
Okay, then he's changed his mind, Your Honor. That's fine. He has-
That's perfectly fine. That's completely his privilege. Mr. Worthy, in that case, and are we still waiving a reading of the accusations, Mr. McLean?
Yes, Your Honor. We've read the accusations and are aware of their statements. We
Okay.
waive the formal reading of the accusations and ask the court to arraign it.
Mr. Worthy, you have been charged with these misdemeanor offenses of which you are legally presumed innocent. Upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the cases will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution has the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt and overcome your legal presumption of innocence. If the state prevails, you could be convicted of 1 or more of these charges and face a sentence of up to a year in prison and or up to $1,000 fine. Given this information, how do you plead?
I plead not guilty.
The case has been arraigned and is going to be further notice for jail jury. That concludes the case. Thank you.
Position 12.
This is State versus Horace O'Shea Jackson, accused of battery, domestic violence, and cruelty in the third degree from April 15th, 2021. Mr. Jackson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Daryl Coleman.
Your Honor, Mr. Jackson is position 12 and 13.
12 and 13, okay. Mr. Jackson, you have a second case in which your name is listed as Horace O'Shea Jackson Jr. Ms. Duncan, I'm assuming that's the one and same person? It's got this.
My understanding, yes, that is correct.
Okay. And in that second case, you are accused of battery, domestic violence from March 7th, 2022. So, Mr. Jackson, these would be two cases involving a battery, domestic violence charges, and to which you are legally presumed innocent upon your entry of a not guilty plea. And just to confirm, Mr. Coleman, we are waiving a reading of the accusations, correct?
Waiving reading, yes.
Okay, thank you. And so saying to, upon your entry of a not guilty plea, the cases will be scheduled for trial. At the time of the trial, the prosecution would have the complete burden to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. If the state prevails, you could be convicted of one or more of these charges listed in these two cases and face a penalty of up to $1,000 fine and or up to a year in prison for each convicted offense. Given this information, how do you plead? You have been hereby arraigned in both cases, positions 12 and 13, and they're both further notice for jail jury. Anything else, Mr. Coleman?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Thank you.
Position 17, Miller.
This is Charles Miller, 23 CR 001186C. Mr. Miller has been accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property and giving false information to an officer from March 1st, 2023. Mr. Miller, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. It appears this is going to be a negotiated plea. Is that still the situation?
That is correct, Your Honor. It's a negotiated plea as to this case. If I might have just a moment, he's asking about something else.
All right.
We're ready, Your Honor.
As I was saying, Mr. Miller, this is going to be a negotiated plea, so may I place you under oath?
Yes, ma'am.
Right hand up, please. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Dillingham, what's the state's recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, the state's recommendation in this case is 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days, balance suspended, a stay away order from 2625 Piedmont Road, and no further contact with Shamika Simmons. And Your Honor, we are asking for restitution for the car damage that she sustained in this case. I was awaiting to hear back regarding the amount. I do not have that at this time.
Okay. Let me just clarify this recommended sentence. So you want him to pay restitution, which means you're going to require him to be on probation to pay restitution.
Yeah, no, we could waive the restitution.
Okay. And we're still going with balance suspended. Would that be correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And stay away from, repeat that address again?
That was 2625 Piedmont Road.
Okay. Mr. McLean, are those the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Your Honor, they are, and we do so stipulate that areas near Lindbergh Plaza are added.
Is it really? Okay,
Well, it's sort of across the street from the MARTA headquarters building.
okay. Okay. Mr. Miller, do you, have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
No, ma'am.
And are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
If you decide to enter a guilty plea to these charges, you would have to give up your right to go back to court and have a trial. There will be no opportunity to confront your accuser, challenge the state's evidence, examine your own witnesses, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass causing damage to property and giving false information to an officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. If you have no other cases holding you at the jail, you should be released within 24 hours. At all times, you are to have no contact with Shamika Simmons. You are to stay 200 yards away from her and not have any communication with her. And you are to also stay away from 2625 Piedmont Road. I don't know what building there is over there, but if you are anywhere near that address, they will have you arrested again. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you.
Apparently, Your Honor, there's a store nearby that's got shopping carts, and apparently there's a gradient to the hill.
Your Honor, I'm Shamika Simmons. I would like to say something.
Sure, Ms. Simmons, go ahead.
How you doing today?
Doing well, thank you.
That's good. I would just like to say he does not know me. This was a freak accident, and I really don't think that it was intentional. And I cannot stand here and say that this was intentional. And he knew me and he sought me out. It was just a buggy accident. And on the last time when he was arraigned, the last judge had said that as far as staying away from marshals, he didn't have to stay away from marshals because they didn't ask him to do that. If you look back in the notes, they did say that address is marshals. And I just want to say he didn't do this intentionally. He does not know me to have to stay away from me. I've never met this man. I was in Atlanta on business.
Your Honor, could I have Mr. Walker call me on 2-2392 for a moment?
And as far as the estimate, nobody has ever called me and requested an estimate for this, so I don't even know where that part came from. But I just want to be fair, and I would like to be honest. He does not know me. I don't know him. It was a car accident. A car is material things, but it did happen. I don't really feel like it was intentional. And the last time when I was, they asked me to speak at his arraignment the last time, 2 weeks ago, the judge threw out the case of him having to stay away from marshals. She took that off because it did happen in Marshall's parking lot and he did not request that. So okay. I'm done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Dillingham, anything else to add?
Yes, Your Honor, we were basing the damage accusation based on a statement that was given to the police officers by the witness.
Okay, Mr. McLean, anything else to add?
Oh, I was saying I'd love to talk to the state. I've mentioned Mr. Walker. If I could talk to Ms. Dillingham about the possibilities of this while we're in the middle of it, that would be great.
So do you want me to hold off on sentencing right now or signing off on the disposition?
Yes, Your Honor, I would.
All right, we're gonna suspend this case, position number 17, until we get some response from Ms. Dillingham, Mr. Walker, and Mr. McLean. All right, moving on to the next case, please.
The next position is
Courtroom 2, please hold. I have someone at the jail court iPhone. Who do we have? Jail court iPhone. So, officer, you're appearing via an iPhone. If you can unmute, please.
Position 1, Mr. Blackwell.
Mr. Coleman, are you ready to proceed with Mr. Blackwell?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Coleman, yay, nay, yes?
I am ready.
Excellent, okay. This is State versus Kenny Blackwell, case number 22 CR 002764E. Mr. Blackwell is accused of loitering and prowling, allegedly on May 5th, 2022. Mr. Blackwell, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Daryl Coleman, who's presently in courtroom number 2. I am not sure what you are looking at on the screen, but can you see your attorney waving at you? Mr. Coleman? Can you see him? You might need to swipe the screen to get to Mr. Coleman. Mr. Coleman, a nice big wave like the Queen. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see your attorney? Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. God bless.
All right. So, Mr. Blackwell, may I place you under oath for purposes of this plea?
Raise your right hand.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Duncan, what's the recommendation?
I am the
They'll get you in a minute, sir.
The state's recommendation,
Go ahead, Ms. Duncan. Sorry about that.
the state's recommendation in this case that was offered and accepted is 12 months to serve. Credit for time served, 100 days, balance suspended, to stay away from 1236 Cumberland Road in Atlanta. No further contact with Scott Finley.
Mr. Coleman, are these the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
It is, Your Honor. We will so stipulate. We'd ask that the plea is negotiated.
Mr. Blackwell, now's your time to give me some responses, okay? Have you consumed any medicine or alcohol recently?
no, ma'am. I got out. Just no. No, ma'am.
All right. And listen to the question very carefully, and I want you to answer on your own. Don't let, officer, you cannot prompt his answers, okay? Thank you. And Mr. Blackwell, you've spoken to your attorney. Mr. Coleman, are you satisfied with him?
Yes, ma'am. Y'all, my time, sir. Keep out there. Yes, ma'am. I'm not going.
Very good. And is anyone forcing you to enter a guilty plea today?
Yes, man. Y'all, my time, sir. I'm saying, by the way, I understand. Give me some no more up here, man.
Are you doing so freely and voluntarily?
What do you mean by that?
Are you doing it of your own free will? Are you entering a guilty plea on your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I'm here by the time, sir. America.
Now, please understand that if you plead guilty, there will be no trial. There will be no going back to court.
Yes, ma'am.
You will not be able to see the witnesses and your accuser.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you willing to give that up?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to loitering and prowling?
I plead guilty, man. I'm saying about him, but I better take time, sir. Don't go.
We will accept the 100 days that you have served. That's credit for time served, and you have no additional jail time. Please stay away from 1236 Cumberland Road in Atlanta, Georgia. You cannot return to that location.
Yes, ma'am.
And no contact with Scott Finley.
Yes, ma'am.
That's it. Your case is closed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Judge, can you repeat the sentence for me, please?
12 months to serve 100 days, credit for time served 100 days, balance suspended, stay away from 1236 Cumberland Road in Atlanta, Georgia, no contact with Scott Finley, Finley.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're done. We're done, Mr. Blackwell. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
Got position 17, Miller.
Your Honor, the state does have an updated offer for this case.
All right. This is position number 17. Sorry, let me get to the right page.
Sure.
And this would be Okay, this is with regarding to Charles Miller, so we're resuming the hearing, the plea hearing with Charles Miller. What's the updated offer?
Yes, Your Honor, due to the victim in this case stating that there was no damage on this hearing, contrary to a previous hearing, the state is going to agree to null pros the criminal trespass damage to property, and we will proceed with the giving false information to law enforcement, and that is the remaining time served offer with no condition. So 12 months to serve, 30 days, credit for time served, 15 days, balance suspended, no further conditions.
All right, thank you. Mr. McLean, does your client agree and accept these terms?
Had we conversed on the phone, that's exactly what I was going to ask the state for. He does.
All right. And Mr. Miller, I've already advised you of your rights, and I've advised you of what you'll be waiving in the event that you enter a guilty plea. So the only charge to which you would need to enter a plea, if you so desire, is giving false information to an officer. How do you plead?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 30 days, credit for time served 15 days. Your case is closed. Thank you. Oh, and Ms. Dillingham, please send Ms. Melissa Grace the null pros for the criminal trespass charge.
Yes, Your Honor, will do.
Thank you. Courtroom 2, next case, please.
Next case is on the competency position 16 or 21.
Repeat, please.
I don't think we're gonna be able to do the competency counter till 11. That's when Mr. Howard probably will log on.
Are we done with SAP in here?
Okay. If we're done with SAP, can I just go over the calendar before we resume with the
I
competency
think that there
calendar?
were
Okay.
still a couple of positions we hadn't done yet.
That's why I want to go over the calendar and see what's outstanding. Okay. I have an add-on calendar, Brittany. Is it Ragans?
Fagan.
Fagan?
I think that she took a plea already. She took a plea earlier this week.
Took a plea on Tuesday.
Okay, so that case is already done. The plea was on March 14th, so that's good. Thank you. Position 1, Blackwell was a plea. Position 2 was arraigned. Position and further notice for jail jury. Position 3, John Davis was a plea. 4 was a plea. 5 is further notice, jail jury. Same for 6. Position 7 is Demario Franklin. Mr. Coleman?
I spoke to Mr. Franklin yesterday. He actually has a private attorney, Beverly Taylor. I did see her earlier on the Zoom.
Yeah, she's asking you to hold for her announcement. She had to go to another Zoom call,
Okay,
but she will be returning back.
all right. In the event, I have no idea what Miss Duncan, do you know, is there going to be a plea in this case, or is it going to be a arraignment?
I have no idea what the announcement is. All I was told is that he had a private attorney and I didn't know who it was until just now.
All
Yeah,
right.
I believe it's gonna be reset for jail. That was the discussion I had with him yesterday.
Let me reset it to next. It says reset for a possible plea, so I'm going to reset it to next Thursday pending Miss Taylor's report. Okay.
She was here, so I don't know if she's coming back, and I was just gonna make that.
Yeah, we're going to hold for a report and reset. Miss Grace, I'm so sorry. Today's the 16th, so it'll be the 23rd. Am I correct? Is my math off?
You're correct, Judge.
Okay, thank you. All right, but I'm going to hold for Miss Taylor's report. She might show up during another calendar. Position 8, Graham was a plea. Position 9 and 10, Aaron Gregory. Mr. Coleman?
He was released.
Okay. So this is going to be further notice for trial.
Correct.
Position 11, Roxy Griffin. Mr. Coleman?
She had a private attorney. I believe she was also released.
Yeah, no, she was not. What happened yesterday, she had a case on Tuesday calendar and the judge, Morrow, arraigned both of the cases and is reset for trial further notice.
All right, so further notice for jail jury. Okay, thank you. Position 12 and 13 have been arraigned and further notice for jail jury. Position 14, Gatonia Johnson. Mr.
No,
Coleman?
that's my client that was gonna be reset for jail jury as well. He needed to be arraigned.
He needs to be arraigned, but he's not appeared. Do you want to file a waiver of arraignment in that case and it'll be reset for jail jury?
I can do a waiver.
Okay. Ms. Grace, please make a note that we are expecting a waiver of arraignment from Mr. Daryl Coleman on position 14.
Okay, Judge.
Position 15, Kemp was a plea. 16, 17, 18 were pleas. 19, Shakobia Spencer. Mr.
Mike, what's going on with Spencer?
Oh, 19 and 20 and 21 and 22. That's all the same defendant. Are we going to further notice that for competency?
Yes, Your Honor, that would be fine.
All right, has an evaluation been requested?
Not yet, Your Honor, just met her yesterday. Would, did we finish on 18, by the way?
18 was a plea?
Okay.
Oh, no, we didn't. Sorry, I had it written. as a plea.
I was
Sorry,
thinking
sorry,
that was
sorry.
gonna get-
No,
Oh, go ahead.
April Mitchell. What did you all find out?
Nothing yet, Your Honor. I was gonna get a phone call from ACDC.
Okay, I'm going to reset this to March 23rd pending your outcome of your phone call, okay?
Is it possible to get a phone call? Are they still there? Because it's just gonna be a time served matter. It would be great.
I agree. But she needs to at least be a little more lucid in her responses, okay? Right, like I said, if you can get a phone call before I complete my competency and DV calendar, if I have one.
I'll try.
I know I just have the competency calendar, then we'll do that. Okay, otherwise it'll have to be March 23rd and hopefully she'll understand. Okay, positions 19, 20, 21, and 22. We're going to reset those to the competency calendar and Mr. McLean, you'll have to request the evaluation.
Oh, yes, we've got the form, Your Honor. I'll fill that in.
Okay.
Judge, I'm resetting it for 4/6. That's enough time for him, hopefully, to get them in. Because it takes about 2 to 3 weeks out.
All right. That is a very optimistic reset date. So reset 4/6 competency calendar at 11 a.m.
Very good.
Position 23, Woodard was a plea. 24 was Norcross. 25 was arraigned jail jury. 26 and 26 was a plea. 27 was 26 Wyatt. Was that a plea?
Wyatt was a plea, but 27, I think, was an associated FTA Norcross.
That would be correct. 27 is Norcross. All right, that is my SAP calendar.
I just had a couple questions. Melissa, did you receive my plea forms?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, and I just need to know who to send the probation form to.
You can send it to Miss Grace or to
Okay.
Mr. Thomas or both.
Okay, I'll forward it to Ms. Grace.
And I just want to clarify for position 11, Roxy Griffin, she was arraigned for jail jury, not guilty.
We already
Tuesday's
established that
SAP
in
calendar.
something. We already made that announcement.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear that it was this particular case so that my records were correct. Thank
There
you.
was.
All right, so Mr. Coleman, your client is from the CC calendar or the C calendar?
Who is that?
Person seated next to you, who is that?
Oh, no, I was just here. I don't, what is your name, sir?
Kenneth Bracelet.
Yeah, I guess he's on the,
He's on the-
competency calendar.
He's on calendar.
All right. Courtroom 2, we will start that calendar at 11 a.m.
I'm texting Mr. Howard right now, Your Honor.
Okay, or when Mr. Howard appears, whichever comes sooner. So courtroom 2 will be in recess until one of those occur, Mr. Howard or 11 a.m. Thank you. Hey, Mr. Howard, it's about 15 minutes shy of 11 a.m. Are you ready to proceed with the calendar?
I am, and I got kicked off. I saw my client sitting with Daryl, Mr. Sweat. Kenneth Sweat is my client.
Kenneth Sweat, okay. And do you need to speak with him?
No, it's going to be a plea, Judge. He's went through the process. He's able to proceed with a plea, and I just emailed over. Well, I need to email it to the case manager, the plea paperwork, but this will be a plea for Mr. Sweat.
Okay,
He's position 21 on the competency calendar.
thank you. All right, so this is State versus Kenneth Sweat, case number 23 CR 0000588Y. Mr. Sweat was accused of criminal trespass and willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer on January 29th, 2023. Mr. Sweat, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of the case. Anything you choose to say during the course of this proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you is Mr. Derek Howard. Do you see Mr. Howard on your screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Sweat, this is going to be a negotiated plea hearing. May I place you under oath? Please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Walker, what is the recommendation for Mr. Sweat?
The state's offers time served of 47 days, balance suspended with the condition of a stay away at the QT gas station located at 4975 Windward Parkway in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Mr. Howard, are these the terms to which your client has agreed, and do you stipulate to the factual basis, venue, and ID?
Yes, Judge, to both questions.
Mr. Sweat, have you consumed any medication or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
And have you understood the proceedings so far?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And is anyone forcing you to take this plea today?
Absolutely not.
If you decide to enter a guilty plea today, you would have to give up your constitutional right to a trial in front of a judge or a jury. You will not be able to confront your accuser, examine witnesses, challenge the evidence brought against you, and have the state try to prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Are you prepared to give up these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you plead to one count of criminal trespass and willful obstruction of an officer?
Guilty.
Your sentence is 12 months to serve 47 days, credit for time served 47 days, balance suspended, which means that you do not have additional jail time and your case is closed. If you return to the QT gas station at 4975 Windward Parkway, you will be rearrested for trespass.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Hello.
Mr. Howard, you can forward the plea paperwork to Melissa Grace.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right.
All right, are we ready to, Ms. Kasha, are you available?
Kasha, are you there? And I'll get her on, Judge, but we can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
I'll try to call her.
If Ms. Lewis, if anyone who's doesn't have anything with the competency calendar, you're free to go. Attorneys or parties or interested folks who are on the Zoom, if the SAP calendar is concluded, with the exception of waiting on Miss Beverly Taylor to give me an announcement. So if the host could please place me, Mr. Walker, Mr. Derek Howard, and hopefully Kasha when she appears in a breakout room.
And then, Your Honor, is courtroom 2 still on? Because I would like Mr. McClain to be present for our breakout if possible. He
Mr.
helped with the
McClain?
add-on, Mr. Keys. I don't know. Is Mr. McClain still in the courtroom?
All right. In that case, if the host could place courtroom 2 in the breakout 2, please. Ms. Duncan, is she joining us too?
No, I was asking about Miss Beverly. I guess I have to remain until after to see if she comes.
Yeah.
You can come into, she can come out into the breakout with us. So she's not by
Sure.
herself.
Join us, Ms. Duncan.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Attorney Taylor? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, the judge and guys are in a breakout room. They're currently on the competency counter. They was waiting for your announcement, Mr. Demario Frank. If you didn't make it back in time, she was gonna, she had a pending reset date for next Thursday, at 9 o'clock on the SAP calendar. So, they're in the breakout room. I can let them know that you're back on. Do you know, to make your announcement? I don't know if the jail, still are holding him there or they return him back to the cell. I do not know.
But next Thursday is fine.
Next Thursday, fine. Okay, so, was it gonna be a plea or anything? Or I can let you know?
I still have to decide.
Okay, Ms. Dunklin, who is the ASG on the case.
It's who now?
Ms. Duncan.
Miss Duncan.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was on the Zoom. She's currently in the breakout room. I mean, if you need to speak to her, I can get her out of the breakout room and let y'all two
No,
talk.
I can email or I can wait to make an announcement because I really was gonna go ahead and just put it on jury.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Well-
but I was saying next week is fine to give me a chance to talk further, but I'm not trying to resolve it today.
Okay. Well, I can let them know that, unless you just want to stay on the line. I don't know how long they're gonna be in the breakout room on these cases.
Right.
The counter only starts at 11 o'clock. Huh?
I'm getting ready to be mobile, so that's why I was saying that.
Oh,
So
okay.
reset for next Thursday at 9 is fine. Okay.
Okay. I'll let
All
you
right.
know. That's okay.
And I'll email Miss Duncan. Or otherwise get in contact with her.
I just emailed you, to ask you for your announcement. I want to make sure I had the right email address. I had, Taylor Beverly at 315.
That's correct.
Okay.
I'll
I'll
email
send
my
you-
announcement.
Okay, I'll send you the email of the ASG on the case.
Thank you.
You're
And
welcome.
her email.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Y'all have a good day.
You too. All right, bye-bye.
Ms. Taylor, is she with us?
No, Judge, that's why I sent the message in the broadcast room to let you know. She said it's okay to reset it for next Thursday. She was not able, she was mobile. She was not in the office. She was in a car and, she said,
Okay.
fine. She said she'll get in touch with the ASG regarding, the matter, but she says right now, she said Thursday will be fine.
Okay, so, Ms. Duncan, the case is reset to March 23rd, and that concludes your cases for this morning, SAP.
Thank you, Judge. Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you, thank you. I'm going to go back into the breakout, or if Ms. Lewis, you can put me and Mr. Walker back in the breakout, please.
Should be able to go back in there, just hit more on your screen. And you should be able to let yourself back in the breakout room. I didn't close it out.
Okay. I'm sorry,
You see
Between-
it? You gotta hover over, I think where it says in, or I don't know how your computer is set up. But-
it's not letting me do it. Oh, here, okay, I got it.
See it? Okay.
Ms. Lewis, Ms. Lewis,
Yes.
do I still hold the call? Do we still have one more plea, I think?
I don't know what's going on the competency counter, if they're gonna have any pleas off of that. They're in discussion right now.
Okay, that's fine.
You want me to ask them? I can go and ask them.
Well, I don't want you to disturb them. I'll just stay on the line. No
Okay.
problem.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right.
Courtroom 2,
They're in the breakout room.
okay. Mr. McLean,
Dr.
is
Milton.
Is Mr. McLean in the breakout room?
Yes.
No, I'm here.
Okay,
No, they out now. I'm sorry. I thought he was back in.
Will you, call me on 8114.
I'm sorry, say it again.
Call me back on the 8114 phone number.
Okay, 865, gotcha.
Now I have a key, someone needs to let me out.
It's like being in the elevator or the elevator area. Hey, is there any way that we can get Mitchell
Courtroom 2, is Mr. McLean still in courtroom 2?
He stepped out for a moment.
Oh, okay. I did not know if they wanted him back in the breakout room.
Yeah, he stepped out.
Okay. Courtroom 2, this is Ms. Lewis. Any way that you can locate Mr. McLean and y'all can go back in the breakout room? Courtroom 2? Courtroom 2.
Here's Mr. McLean.
Mr. McLean, they need you back in the breakout room. Y'all guys should be able to go back in the breakout room. Just look on your screen and hover down to more and put yourself back in there, please.
Okay, it's nothing coming up to invite us in the breakout room.
No, there is one. Y'all was in there before. You can put yourself back in there. Just hover over more or hover over where it says in the conference app. It will tell you go back in the breakout room.
I'm not sure if any of that stuff is still the same.
Do you see what I'm talking about?
No, it's not. The only thing that's on the screen is saying is that we believe in the Zoom. That's it. But normally like blue mess.
Do you have a button that says more?
No, she's tried.
It's at the bottom of the screen. No.
You click on that double vertical line, clicks to type your search.
Oh, it just popped up, then it clicked back.
All types of ways, there you go, social media. Actually,
That's all right.
No, it's normally over here. It's normally over there.
Okay, what I'm gonna have to do, I'm gonna put y'all in one room and take you back out to put you back.
Hold on 1 second. Hold on 1 second. I see. Hold on.
There we go.
There we go.
Now we got it.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our competency calendar is concluded as well, so SAP is adjourned. Thank you. Everyone have a great week.